It's a pleasure to have everyone here. And I'm going to start and kick off this thing. So let me introduce myself. I'm Priya Vaidya Shrestha, and as the chairperson of NAOO Women's Empowerment Committee, and on behalf of my team, I'd like to welcome you all. And this is our third annual celebration of International Women's Day 2021. Last year, like with COVID and all, we didn't think it would be possible to meet this year. But thanks to Zoom technology and all of us, our resilient spirit, we're all here together. And in addition, we've had the bonus of our friends, not just from within Ohio, but our Nepalese community from all over, and also Nepal and globally to join us. So welcome all of you. We've been lucky this year. We've had the privilege of having such special dignitaries and educators who worked very hard in their areas consistently for decades and help raise a community of women and children here to talk to us and share their knowledge. I would first of all like to warmly welcome our special guest and keynote speaker this morning, Ms. Chandni Joshi, for gracing us with her presence all the way from Kathmandu, Nepal. Our favorite Ohioan, Dr. Shraddha Moinali. She's joining us from Columbus.
Hello.
Yet again. And last but not the least, our guest speaker and exemplary educator, Ms. Anita Adhikari, all the way from Maryland. Welcome. As a representative of our small but tight Nepalese community of Northeast Ohio, I want to thank you all our guests for giving us your precious time. And a big shout out to all our friends from Northeast Ohio and NAOO community for always being there for us and supporting us. So thank you. Being here today is big, I think, and it speaks volumes. Thank you all my female and male friends who are here to celebrate womanism. It is time, I think, we support the hand that rocks the cradle and thus the world. It is also time that we embrace gender equality. It is also time that we women assume that seat at the table. It is time we break the glass ceiling. And to achieve that, we must empower our women. Empowering women is empowering our children, our families, and empowering our community at large. This will be my third time organizing this event. And in the last 3 years as a team, we felt supported tremendously by our community here. We started small, but we're gripping the right momentum, I think, and growing bigger. So we thank you all for your support and for believing in this group of female leaders. And I want to proudly say this and affirm with you, in this whole process, you've rightfully supported the theme for International Women's Day this year. It's Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in COVID-19 World. So let's celebrate this moment together and join hands with everyone globally and rightfully, and support the International Women's Day hashtag, Choose to Challenge. A challenged world is an alert world, and from challenges comes changes. So let's choose to challenge, celebrate women's achievement, raise awareness against bias, and take action for equality. So I'm going to present a little bit about our work here, so bear with me. I'm going to share my screen. So when we initially started, we wanted to give women a platform to come together, to exercise the opportunity to develop leadership skills, and to be heard without judgment, a chance to invest in their self-development, empower themselves to be better at their roles, and in addition, serve our community. Our motto has been leadership at core. We identified our agendas based on the needs of the community and in combination with our goals to empower women. To channelize this, we created something like clubs. So the concept is we recognize what the need is, and then we create a club according to that. And this is led by different committee members and club leads who work closely with the executive committee to execute and channelize the organization's goal and objectives. And through this approach, we've seen that each individual committee member gets the opportunity to exercise their own leadership skills and develop that hands-on and right from the get-go. The club lead develops her own goal innovatively, unique to her own club, sets guidelines, and uses their creativity and entrepreneurship to drive the club. So to further engage our community and promote participation, each club lead identifies a champion in the community who helps the lead with resources and help engage with the community. In total, offering more hands for the club and organization to channel our goals. This approach, in my experience, has shown effectivity in multiple levels: teamwork, leadership skill promotions, productive engagement with the community. This has also helped prevent workload or burnout on the leadership and exercise goodwill and benefits of the teamwork, promote ownership for each committee members. Overall, it has made volunteer work in the community manageable as we all multitask in our own roles as caregivers and breadwinners. All in all, this has helped drive volunteer work in the community much better and motivate and maintain the consistency. Now, in identifying our leadership strategy and the process, I would say we have adopted an transformational leadership style, which is driven by a vision. And along the lines, we have achieved and implemented a growth mindset approach. And to engage the community deeper, we've adopted a combination of ambient and concentric circle style of recruitment. And so far, it's worked. So it's aided to reach our vision. And we had divided a phase-based vision for ourselves for developing, and I think we've sort of like completely established or completed the first phase, that's like establishing the committee and the organization, and we'll soon be moving on to our phase 2, which is some of us will go on to do some empowerment project in the community. I think some of my friends here are already involved in that, and I myself am involving myself in initiating a mental health project in the community, and hopefully let's see how things go, and I'm very hopeful. So I think the question is, why do we need a platform like this? And I can't elaborate more of the whys, why we need to do this. Like, I think women need to take that seat at the table. We need platforms like these, big or small, to foster more female leadership. And this can be only achieved if we're able to influence the community at a very grassroots level. And I think we're part of that. Studies also show that women prove to be good leaders. As per a global database of 360-degree assessments, women were found excelling in a lot of parameters of leadership. Per the respondents of the survey, women were found to put greater importance on interpersonal skills, such as quote unquote, inspires and motivates, communicates powerfully, collaboration and teamwork, relationship building. Female leaders were found to employ emotional intelligence much more efficiently. But mind you, we are not about gender wars. We're about closing the gender gap and bringing gender equality. Lots of economic research and previous survey findings have shown that career interruptions related to motherhood may make it hard for women to advance in their career. But what topped the list of reasons was women having to work harder than their male counterparts to prove themselves. So I guess I cannot stress any more of the whys. So now I would like to introduce you to my team. I really like this term, power of the pack. So I'll be introducing you to my pack. So I will first start with Pooja Shrestha, Ms. Pooja Shrestha. She's our General Secretary, and she has introduced us to the concept of Grandparents Club, and she's also leading Kids Club. Namaste, everyone. Welcome. Ms. Sukriti Sharma, our bubbly Sukriti, she's been helping us keep up with the money business as treasurer, and she's currently leading our wellness club.
Namaste, Sabaijana, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Next, I'd go over to Ms. Santoshi Rimal Pandey. She just joined us as PR, and we really love her presence.
Namaste, welcome everyone. Thank you for having us.
Lalita Parajuli Bhetwal, our next, she leads our prestigious book club lead, and she's our IT personnel.
Namaskar, welcome everyone, and thanks all for joining and being a part of us and celebrating today's Women's Day. Thank you.
Dr. Milu Raimaji, she's our prestigious movie club lead.
Namaste and welcome everyone.
Dr. Pramila Parajuli, she's our health-related event club lead.
Namaste. Thank you everyone for coming.
Dr. Anu Shrestha, she's our humanitarian club lead and she's currently conducting the COVID support group.
Namaste everyone. Very excited to have you all.
And in our team, Ms. Nasar Banu, who's our current president of NAOO, and she's also there, but I'm not sure if she's here. I can't see her, but she's our liaison person with our parent affiliate. And Dr. Nisha Thapalya, she recently moved from here, but she was serving as the co-lead for our health-related event club. And moving on, so let's see what these wonderful ladies have been able to achieve so far. I'm going to share a little bit about our work this year. So this year was difficult. And if I were to count the time, the last time we met as a community had been last year's Women's Day. And I haven't seen my friends in person since then, but it certainly doesn't feel that way. In the past year, NWC has been striving to bring the community together on a virtual platform at least once a month. And we still continued our activities. And this past year, we focused on pandemics and tools to overcome it and stay connected. And I must say, we were very successful. So since June of 2020, we've been running a weekly meditation yoga 2-hour session every Sunday till like last weekend through our wellness club. Through our kids club, we've organized 3 Zoom activities for the kids in the community to stay connected. And I think this has been really instrumental for kids, just to meet up with their friends. Through our book club and movie club, we have continued to promote online intellectual, meaningful conversation. And this, I think, has been really enjoyed by the ladies and all the gentlemen who've joined this. And more recently, through Humanitarian Club, we've maintained a COVID support group. We met as a community multiple times to get an update from our experts, and we created a platform where people could ask questions, whatever questions they had, and that was wonderful. As a community, we came together to vent and share our difficulties, our grief, and a lot of our community members have found it very, very helpful. All in all, I think NWC has strived to keep this beautiful community connected, empowered with important tools of mindfulness and yoga practice, build a support system in dire times, and enrich with meaningful and impactful ways of connecting. So I thank you all, my community club leads, for working very hard to support this community. So if I really had to sum up what this journey has been like for me, I would say it's been very inspirational. It's felt very rewarding. I've grown so much as a person, and the best part of it was growing up with my wonderful friends here. It's given way much more meaning to my daily mundanities, and it's really inspired me to be better every day. And all in all, I think it has been a really empowering experience. And I invite all of my friends in the community to take the opportunity to join us when you can and experience this. I certainly found it very, very valuable. And to give our event a little bit more of the meaning, we are promoting this organization called Timra Suraksha Amro Kartabya. It's based off of US, and we don't really have any links with them. But I think if you really found this helpful, the whole event, and you'd like to thank us in some way, we would please want you to donate to this organization. So we all will be sharing this on the Facebook platform just for you guys to participate. And this is a brief overview of the program today. And I hope to cover everything very well with our very interesting, enigmatic speakers here today. For the ease, I've just divided the session into 2 with a 5-minute break. Hopefully, we'll all get through this. So without further delay, I would like to invite our first speaker of the day and our keynote speaker, Ms. Chandni Joshi. I think I'd be very short on words on putting together her introduction, and I'm trying to do justice to everything she's done. Personally, I've known her since I was a child. She was a very much mentioned name in our household, starting from being the founder president, I think, of Patton JC's. and the first lady president of Nepal JCs, and further from there, many, many more. She's been one of the most inspiring person I've met and I've known through my childhood, and I'm so honored to have her here. So with more than 54 years of working experience, Ms. Chandni Joshi's name is synonymous with gender, rights, and macro policies in Nepal and other South Asian countries alike. Envisioning all her life of a gender-just world, she has consistently strived for a world of equal opportunities, equal choices, and equal recognition of work of both women and men. From a lecturer at Padma Kanya College to the regional director of UNIFEM for South Asia, Ms. Joshi's professional journey has given her innumerous challenges at national, regional, and global level, which have enhanced her capabilities and evolved her into a powerhouse of knowledge in diverse issues. She is an inspiration to her peers and younger generation and an asset to our nation, Nepal. Ms. Joshi's 26 years of national civil service, 18 years of international civil service, and recent 12 years of freelancing has enabled her to possess a remarkable blend of multifaceted and multidimensional development experience, spanning at all levels, micro, meso, and macro. She set up the UNIFEM South Asia Regional Office in 1990 and devoted 18 years to build it at a knowledge-based organization until October 2008. She was formerly Joint Secretary as well as Chief of Women Development Division, Ministry of Local Development in the Government of Nepal. She had initiated a pioneering program, PCRW, which is recognized as a model for women's economic empowerment. Currently, she's the enforcer of HomeNet South Asia, which advocates for the rights of the invisible women, home-based workers in the informal sector of the region. Ms. Joshi's work has always been rights-based, and her areas of specialization include advocacy on gender issue at national, regional, and international levels. Her work nationally and internationally has been recognized globally, and she has been a recipient of multiple awards, including Lifetime Award by President of Nepal in 2010 and other Lifetime Awards locally, and also prestigious national awards like Prabal Trishaktapatta, Sark Medal, Gorkha Dakshin Bahu, and the Coronation Medal. Let's hear more of her inspiring stories, and I'd formally like to invite you.
Madam Chair, fellow panelists, distinguished guests, a very good morning. मेरो न्यानो अभिवादन सबैलाई र सबैमा मेरो नमस्कार। आज आइतबारको दिन यति बिहान तपाईहरु सबैजना तयार भएर जुन जोश र उमङ्गले आउनु भएको छ, that itself is a big prize for me. I'm so touched by your enthusiasm and your passion. So I really want to thank the organizers, especially Dr. Priya and her team, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to connect with you all today. So congratulations to you on the work, the excellent work that you all have been able to do, being very far away. And I really want to wish you a very happy International Women's Day, as today is the eve. As you have already talked about the theme, I'll just move on to my title. The title given to me is Why Empower Women? It looks very simple, why? But it's extremely challenging. And therefore, I have divided my presentation into 4 segments. The first is to present a scenario of challenges and discriminations. It's very important to remember the discrimination that women go through, and then the global and national achievements made so far. And the third segment is going to be my own experiences, and then results of what empowered women can do. Like you talked about the boardroom, the glass ceiling, so we'll also talk about that. But let's analyze a little bit before I start. All human beings are born equal. It is the societal norms that make women feel inferior, excluded, and invisible. Social taboos silence them. Certain traditions restrict them. And over time, these repeated actions make women doubt themselves. We see embedded discrimination that women face from womb to tomb, even before she is born till she dies. The sex-selective abortions that we see and the abuse during pregnancy. Bansa chalaउने chora, dagbati dine chora. So the son preference is so much there, we see. And then as a toddler, she has to endure malnourishment, negligence, exclusion. And in the Nepali society, especially हामी के देख्छौँ भने छैटीको दिनमा छोरा जन्मियो भने सिङ्गो खसीको टाउको ल्याउनु पर्ने, छोरी जन्मियो भने आधा टाउको ल्याउनु पर्ने भन्छ. You see that, you know, how things get separated right from the beginning. र पास्नी केटीको पास्नी 5 महिनामा हुने, केटाको पास्नी 6 महिनामा हुने भन्दाखेरि आमाको दुधको पोष पनि उले कम पाउने भन्दाखेरि the whole discrimination process starts knowingly, unknowingly with the tradition. It starts there. And as a girl child, she faces illiteracy, child marriage, child trafficking, and often incest, which is not talked about. And can you imagine the psyche of a small girl who's told again and again, you don't belong here. Arkako ghar jane. You know, that is the psyche that she has to listen to every day before, you know, when she grows up. And then as an adolescent, she experiences unsafe sex, trafficking, honor killing. As a young woman, she faces partner violence and marital rape, sexual harassment at workplace, if she's a career woman, and dowry abuse and murders. As a married woman, the domestic violence that women face, and especially after COVID, we hear about the inequalities so much. The forced pregnancy, partner homicides are some of the features. And as a middle-aged woman, the abuse of women with disability as biological role, back. Okay, we often see the prevailing patriarchal mindset, as I was saying, and the biological and gender roles are jumbled up. And it is like the fate of women to do all that you see in this slide, you know. She's supposed to look after the child, the care work, the nourishing that she has to do. She has to nurse, she has to be the nurse, you know, all the multitasking she does. And then we also suffer from the superwoman syndrome ourselves. She bears the triple burden wherever she is. She might be in the States, she might be in Nepal, she might be in any one of the villages, everywhere. Her reproductive role, her productive role, and unpaid care and housework. It's not only us now talking about it, the care work, but now it's being calculated in terms of money, which comes to $10.8 trillion per annum. So now if you add that to the GDP, what happens? You can imagine, right? So though you know, we are not talking about discrimination, but we have to see the hurdles that women face. So we are very familiar with this slide too, the next slide that you'll see in our day-to-day life, the one that Priya was talking about also earlier. Life, how these hurdles restrict us. Is this, in this unfair race, is this fair, is my question. To achieve professional success, look at what women have to go through. The way for the men is so easy. The care burden, you know, the role of feeding, cooking, cleaning, the care, unpaid care work that women have to do along with the productive role, that pulls her down. And whenever you hear of women's leadership, well, she's never there, she's never free. Why isn't she free? Because she's made so busy with the triple burden that she carries. So given such a grim scenario, before we even delve into why empower women, we need to first look at how we can empower women. So let's look at this data. Half of the women's population, you know, they're two-thirds, though we are half, two-thirds work, and they receive 10% of the world's income and own less than 1% of the world's property. Is this fair, is the question. So I'm coming to one question is, first we really need to see, can we really empower people? is my question. I firmly believe that no one can empower anyone. It is a realization which comes to dawn within a person to transform in order to empower oneself. They have to decide that they want to be empowered. What we can do, what we can provide is the support and opportunity. We need to create an enabling environment for them to perform. Let's look at the achievements made so far globally. Today, there are 22 women leaders. Women are leaders now in 22 countries. Their efficiency was seen more during the pandemic, especially the PM of New Zealand. She eradicated COVID in 7 weeks. Jacinda, she earlier made her country free of terrorism and racism. Now she's providing free access to sanitary products for all schools to stamp out period poverty in New Zealand. There is a rise in the new normal where more women parliamentarians are breastfeeding their child while speaking at the parliament. Such photographs are going viral in social media. So now this has become normal. At the recent victory of Kamala Harris as the first ever women vice president of America has given us all hope that now, maybe the CEDAW that US has still not signed might be signed now with her there, presence there. And now let's look at our own home front in Nepal. 32.8% of parliamentarians are women. If we look at the local bodies, there's a total of 718 women leaders in the provincial level. A few years ago, as we all know, we had 3 women heading executive, judiciary, and legislative wings as the president, chief justice, and speaker of the House. We also see the rise of more women in the non-traditional role these days. The journey of empowerment is a slow process, and it takes a lot of patience and perseverance. Yet, I never lost hope in women. I have always trusted women. I admired their capabilities to perform and honesty of purpose. We have listened and read history. That is his story for centuries. It is high time now we listen to her story now. Let me share just a few case studies of the sharers for whom I was able to create an enabling environment and the support system. Whether it was my 9 years of teaching profession in Padma Kanya campus or 17 years as the chief of women development programs in His Majesty's government of Nepal then, or 18 years as the regional director of UNIFEM South Asia, I made sure to promote excluded women who had caliber. These were opportune moments for me to provide different platforms for the excluded women to be in the spotlight, to be seen, heard, and taken seriously. Initially, the empowerment process was at individual level, but just like how one candle lights 1,000 more, it became a collective process, empowering communities, building networks, and eventually working beyond borders to strategize, negotiate, and build one unified voice of South Asia. In my journey, I feel gratified when I think of the women whom I was able to motivate. Today, I will share just a couple of stories. Charimaya Tamang was trafficked when she was 16 years old and was later rescued from Kamatipura. We helped her establish Sakti Samo, or NGO, and we helped them to think through and to start a stationery and printing center, not a sewing and knitting club. We thought they should do something different. And later in 2011, she received the Hero Acting to End Modern Day Slavery Award by Hillary Clinton. And in 2013, she was awarded the Magsaysay Award. That's Charimaya Tamang, one of my sharers. Now, next is Kaushalya, a timid girl stammering in every sentence. We motivated her to take the leadership and be the chair of the Positive Women's Network in India. And I remember that day, when we were coaxing her to speak at the inauguration of a big event of UND in Delhi at Vigyan Bhavan. After countless rehearsals, she finally spoke, sitting between Sonia Gandhi and Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the PM of India. And I was sitting in a corner in the auditorium and I was crying. I could see that confidence in her, the way she was speaking. I was proud to see her empowered incarnation when she received the Nari Shakti Puraskar from the President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, in 2015. The next steps was to empower communities. Priya did talk about the PCRW program that I started. And recently, the government of Nepal has come out with an evaluation that the Production Credit for Rural Women program benefited 1.5 million women in Nepal, and it reached 75 districts. I started the program in 5 districts and took it to 49 districts. And in that due process, I walked to 65 districts of Nepal myself. So I can say I know Nepal. And I made sure the programs were not run in the headquarters, the district headquarters, but it was in the remotest of the villages, like Chang village in Tano, Ukure in Dhading, and Waling in Siangja, not in the district headquarters at all. I have always believed and worked towards amplifying women's voices so that they are heard in global forums too. They are heard, I gave you examples at the national level, but it was also important to listen to their voices, listen to their concern. As their voice and visibility was unheard, they were invisible for generations. So there are 2 events that I want to talk about. One is the Rio Summit, where there was going to be discussion on what women and environment is all about. So I said, why don't we collect the voices of women from South Asia? So we said we'll call it summits too. So we held Peasant Women Summit in Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and India in 4 countries. And the 2,000 women, they talked about what their concern was, what environment was meant to them. And 3 out of them, they chose the leaders. I took them to Rio, where they spoke on international global forums with champions like Wangari Maathai and Vandana Shiva. And I took 350. It is learning. It's like step by step. I learned that when women go and talk to the international community, they believe we are not intermediaries. They are having direct communication. So I took 350 grassroots women to the 4th World Conference in Beijing in 1935. And I saw that momentum. I said, this shouldn't die. I kept it alive. I'll talk about that a little later. And it was also very important, whenever it was violence, always shoved under the carpet. And we have to do something more strong, in a big way. The voice should be stronger. So we held a 1-year campaign on violence against women in 1998. And my small grandson was 21 days old. He was the youngest person who marched, we were 10,000 people who marched in India Gate, and he was the youngest out of that. In 2002, a very interesting event happened in Kabul. Now, before that, I'll tell you the story. There was a huge meeting on the reconstruction of Afghanistan. How women have forgotten, I'm going to tell you the story. It was happening in Pakistan. And when I went to attend it, I saw there were 700 men and there was 1 woman. So I had to raise the voice and say, where are the women? Even when we quoted, we always talked about the 60,000 widows in Kabul itself. So I said, where are they? So we promised that we'll hold the first ever meeting for women in Kabul. And in 2002, 2,000 women, Afghani women, got together and celebrated. After 23 years of war, they celebrated the International Women's Day in Kabul. and got the 6-point agenda presented to the President of Kabul. And now, since the year 2000, I have been actively supporting the home-based workers movement, who have the membership of now 900,000. It is, I call it a silent revolution that's happening in South Asia. We also piloted and saw, looked at, is it possible to have zero violence zones? So we looked at which are the states that has the, who have the most, who are very gullible. So we found Maharashtra, UP, and Rajasthan. And in those three states, we started a zero violence campaign, and it worked. And in the same way, in terms of, we were very far away from humanitarian aid. We said, it's not our job. There are so many institutions working on humanitarian aid. But after the Gujarat flood, we found out that women had to sell their bodies, even just to get a packet, of food. So we said, no, we have to step in. And we are reminding the humanitarian aid about gender and natural disasters. So after tsunami in Sri Lanka, we ensured the women, no women was trafficked from Sri Lanka, and we supported the relief and reconstruction work. And that's, Dr. Priya, when we started the whole work on mental health from there on. And then we continued during the earthquake and COVID also. So in India, I negotiated on land rights with Bill Clinton, the UN envoy on humanitarian aid. And later I was very surprised. They invited me to unveil. We had built 40 houses for the women survivors. And it was a 3-bedroom houses. And they had asked me to come and inaugurate. So the minister and myself, when we went to unveil, they had named it Chandni Colony. So I was myself, so shocked. Yesto chakka pareko ma, yesto chakka pareko, mero naamma unele colony kolecha for those 40 women. And I was so touched. Now I think I'll talk about gender mainstreaming. Why gender mainstreaming is so important. We are doing things, you are hosting projects. I had done so many programs for women, but it was also important to get their voices in larger issues. So I always put the excluded women at the center stage of development and link their micro voices to macro policies as mainstreaming efforts by engendering national development plans and gender budget in South Asia itself, by building diverse partnerships with police, judges, lawyers, interfaith leaders, and barefoot advocates. And I was one of the first to talk about the role of men and masculinities in South Asia, how important they were, in our whole work on women's empowerment. And I have signed 2 memorandum of understanding with the SAARC on gender equality. The most difficult was setting up an accountability mechanisms. Now, who is going to say who is, what are the compliances are? You go, the government goes, they sign, certain conventions, covenants, and come back. But it's very important to see what has been achieved so far. So we started this biennial meetings where, at the highest level, the head of state were part of it. That means the presidents, the head of government, the prime ministers, SAARC secretary generals, ministers and top bureaucrats, civil society, gender advocates, researchers, and excluded women. They would all come together under one platform, gender platform in South Asia, and review what they had signed in Beijing, the Beijing Platform for Action and the Beijing Declaration. So I negotiated with world leaders on women's rights throughout my life. Now, that is where my journey ends in my professional career. And when I came back to Nepal after being retired from UNIFEM, I thought, now I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to read lovely novels. I'm going to see all the movies I wanted to see, just play with my grandchildren, do gardening. But I just couldn't do that much. I just wanted to be the good grandma. But my passion, my work, all that I had done, that was not achieved. The goals were yet, to be achieved. So I want you to see the picture the pictorial journey of my work after I got retired from my professional work. So you'll see those photographs, and I'll just talk about a few incidences. Now, I for two years, I wrote my life history, my book on my work. And then 2015, the Nepal earthquake, the mega earthquake, as they call it, struck. And in 5 days after that, we set up a group called Women Friendly Disaster Management Network. We are 11 institutions with LGBTQI, physically challenged, single women, Dalits. We all included in this group, and it covers the whole country of Nepal. Their programs. And with them, with my own learnings that I had, done earlier, we got 100 women 1 year after the earthquake together and got them to have dialogue with the Home Minister, the National Reconstruction Authority, the donors, and other ministries. And they came up with the Charter of Demand and Kathmandu Declaration. So that's how my work continued. And after COVID-19 also, I have been working with home-based workers and also with WFDM. We have been able to feed hungry people, and we were to provide, kits and information to 100 old